you see the thumbnail. We finally get to talk about the better side of the New York Giants, the brighter side of the New York Giants, and that's the defensive side for the New York Giants. And again, you see the thumbnail. So we're going to be talking about the defensive line. I'm not going to add edge rushers to this video. I'm just going to talk about your defensive tackles, your three techniques, stuff like that. Now, another thing, we don't know who the DC is going to be. We don't know if the New York Giants are going to move into a more traditional, 4-3 lineup or 4-3 front. We don't know what's going on. So right now I'm going to keep it with the odd front, the 3-4, and we'll see what happens with that. But again, the Ravens just lost. We know that their defensive back coach was high on our list for the new DC position, or the role of the DC position. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully we get some news this week, get some clarity to see, especially with Senior Bowl coming up right now. We just need to see who the DC is going to be, have these guys on the same page before a lot of this offseason kicks in. But let's talk about the defensive line. You can't talk about the defensive line without talking about Dexter Lawrence. And Dexter Lawrence has proved why he's getting the money that he's getting. He's one of the more dominant defensive players in all of football, not just defensive line, but in all of football. I believe he did get snubbed as far as all-pro goes. You had Chris Jones, you had Aaron Donald in front of him. But to me, I think that Dexter Lawrence had a more dominant year than Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald, that's not a shot at Aaron Donald at all. I'm just saying right now, when you're looking at Dexter Lawrence, where he is right now today, I think he's playing better ball and more dominating ball than Aaron Donald is right now. If you don't agree, go ahead and put that in the comments down below. So let's talk about some of these guys that's going to be on the roster for next year. And looking at the list, obviously, is Dexter Lawrence. Then we have Nacho. Then we have DJ Davison and Jordan Riley. And that's a few guys that will be on the squad in 2024. Now, Nacho, free agent that we picked up last year, rotational guy, is what he is. I love the energy. Did make a couple of plays down the stretch, but nothing that'll stop you from drafting a D tackle. DJ Davison, another guy, his second year. First year ended early with knee injury, ACL. Came back, made some plays. Another rotational guy. And then there's Jordan Riley. Now, to me, Jordan Riley has the most promise. He was a healthy scratch throughout most of the season, and I think a lot of that had to do with Leonard Williams being on the team. But once Leonard Williams was traded, you saw that Jordan Riley started getting a jersey. Now, that's the crazy thing about it. When Jordan Riley started playing, you saw a little bit of flashes here and there. You saw him earn more and more time. Rotational piece, but I think he has more. You probably can get more out of him when it comes to Jordan Riley. I think that he can actually push to be a starter, maybe not right at the beginning of the season of next year, but I believe he can work himself into a starting role. But again, he does not stop you from drafting, a better option at D tackle. I just think with more development, especially if we're keeping Andre Patterson, I think that Jordan Riley has all of the tools. Physicality, I think he has the athleticism to be able to be one of those guys that can be heavy in rotation or can even possibly be a starter depending on what we do in free agency. So that's just a quick reference of the guys that will be coming back in 2024. There are some other guys, but I just wanted to mention some of the more notable names that will probably be a little bit thicker into that rotation. Now let's talk about these free agents. Now, A'Shawn Robinson is a free agent that's currently on the New York Giants, but will be a UFA, come the new league year. Now, when I go back and forth when I think about A'Shawn Robinson because of Jordan Riley. Like, the one thing that's good about A'Shawn Robinson, I don't think he's going to cost you a lot of money. I believe he is good depth. We saw him make some plays down the stretch as well, especially when they had put Dexter Lawrence on that snap count. You saw that A'Shawn Robinson was able to make plays and also roll tide. I already know what it is when it comes to Alabama players. I don't think he cost you a lot of money, maybe slightly above vet minimum. So I believe that he's a good option to bring back, especially with the money situation that we're in. Our cap is crazy right now. So A'Shawn Robinson absolutely would be a target that I would look at re-signing, this offseason. Just looking around the league, there's some names out there. Of course, you got Leonard Williams. Now, here's the thing also. Because we're in this cap situation, I do not see the New York Giants spending a lot of money um, on the D line in free agency. Like there's names like Chris Jones out there. This guy's probably going to make almost $30 million a year, 26, 27, 28 maybe. I didn't really look at the spot rack market value for him, but I'm pretty sure it's going to, if Dexter Lawrence getting like 26, Chris Jones is probably going to be right in that same area, and the New York Giants can't pull that off. If you're going to spend big money, I'd rather spend it on another edge opposite of Kayvon Thibodeau, but that is what it is. But I'm thinking about Leonard Williams, reuniting Leonard Williams with Dexter Lawrence. But even Leonard Williams now is going to cost you a lot of money. Looking at his market value, I was kind of surprised. Right now, SpotRack has Leonard Williams' market value at about $16.7 million or $16.6 million market value, 3-year deal. That's a lot of money. I don't think the New York Giants can afford that. Now, will Leonard Williams give you a discount because he likes Dexter Lawrence so much? Absolutely not. At the end of the day, this is a business. These guys are professionals, and they want as much money as possible, and they deserve to get as much money as they can get. So I really don't think a reunion with Leonard Williams is something that can happen right now, especially with the cap being what it is. They can make some moves. They can, adjust Andrew Thomas's contract. They can adjust Dexter Lawrence's contract. But if you're doing something like that, you're not doing it to get Leonard Williams back, an older player. You're probably trying to get that situation right for Xavier McKinney. But some other cheaper options, I have like a Javon Kinlaw from San Francisco. Market value is right around $5 million. Young guy still, first round pick, has not lived up to that first round pick hype. Probably won't cost you a lot of money, but to me, I'd rather take the chances on Jordan Riley and seeing what I got with him, developing him, rather than bringing in another guy. Another old Giant is going to be Linval Joseph. Now, he might mess around and retire. And again, a lot of these names, I'm talking about cheaper options to add and bring depth to the New York Giants defensive line. Linval Joseph, I believe, would be his 14th year. And, that's just a name I wanted to throw out there as a depth piece. Still strong, still able to make a little bit of plays, but nothing that's going to break the bank. But again, when it all boils down to it, I think that the guys that we have in the building, DJ Davison, Nacho, Jordan Riley, those guys are probably going to be all the depth that you really get. As far as on the team, when it comes to guys getting paid, everything else has to be addressed in a draft, in my opinion. And with that said, let's move on to this next section. Let's talk about the draft. Now, there's some talented guys in the draft to add to this defensive line, and it's all about where you want to pick somebody. Like there's talent sprinkled throughout, and you could probably go, if you're looking for a dominant starter, you can probably go, 2 rounds deep, maybe 3 rounds deep, depending on what your current situation looks like. And for the New York Giants, anything's possible. So obviously, if you wanted to pick a first round guy, you got the kid from Illinois, Jer'Zhan Newton from Illinois. He's definitely going to be most likely a first round pick. 3 technique, dominant, can move, can everything you want. And it's crazy too because his name is getting higher and moving up higher and higher on the list. And at one point in time, it was like, oh, maybe he could slip into the second round. And if he were able to slip into the second round, pairing him up with Dexter Lawrence would be fantastic. Fantastic. You want to plug in for Leonard Williams, you get somebody like Newton. He's a plug-in for Leonard Williams day one. Don't have to worry about a thing. He also has a teammate, and it's Keith Randolph. He's another guy not valued as high as Newton, but if you're looking in that 5th round range, he's probably a guy that you can get in that 5th round. Tall, got some good length. Not the fastest. Not nearly as talented as Newton, but still a solid person that you can get in the 5th round and the developing could possibly turn into something. So Keith Randolph is another one. So Illinois has 2 good guys on that defensive line that are also, draft worthy. But let's move it along. Now, there's a name in Clemson, and it took me a while to try to get the name down. I wasn't sure how they pronounce it. Then I started watching some Clemson tape, and you can hear the name, and it's crazy. And that's going to be Ruke. Is it Oro? I kid you not. Ruke Oro. Nigerian guy, still pretty green when it comes to football, but just his raw ability, fantastic. His raw, you got a guy, he's 6'4", 295 pounds, might have played at like 305 too. So I'm curious to see what he comes in at the combine, but talented. Still a piece of clay, but just his raw ability. I don't want to play it too hard when I say raw ability. He's played football for about 4 years, and you see that it didn't take him long to get the game down. So you're talking about how JPP was, and listen, I'm not saying he's JPP. I'm just saying JPP didn't play a lot of ball. When he got drafted, I believe he had like 3 years of football in, or 4 years of football in, something like that. Only played like his senior year in high school, something like that. Roro is pretty much like same guy. I'm gonna say Ruke, his first name, Ruke. Same type, where you got a as far as his size, huge human being, crazy athletic for his size, still green, but able to beat people right now with his right now skill set. The way his skill set is right now, he's able to do a lot of things. So I just imagine with a guy like Andre Patterson again, or any kind of football NFL coach, getting his hands on Ruke can absolutely mold this guy to be a monster. And to me, he's another guy that, if you were to draft him second round, like he's probably going to go in the second round. He might dip into the third round, but I don't really see him later than like a second round pick. So if he's available with our second round pick that we got from Seattle, then he's absolutely a target at that point in time if he falls that far. But yeah, very talented, out of Clemson. Go out and check out some of his tape. Another guy on my list, because again, I do have my handy dandy notebook. I was looking at Florida State, because I was looking at Verse, the defensive end. They have a D tackle, Braden Fisk. Now, if you're a Marvel fan, Fisk, and you think about Wilson Fisk from Spider-Man, we got another guy, strong defensive tackle in that mold. Good player. They got him listed as a possible third round pick. He could slip into early day 3 in the 4th round, but I like him. I like him a lot. Good motor, keeps going, push, good skill set, strong hands, can do a lot of things. So Fisk is another guy in that list when you're looking in that 3rd to 4th round. 2 more names on my list. I got Michael Hall out of Ohio State, another 3 technique. You see the theme here. A lot of these guys that I'm naming can play that 3 technique role. And again, we don't know if we're going to run the 3-4 or the 4-3, depending on who the new DC is. And I'm just thinking about the 3-4 option. And these are all 3 technique guys. Probably can play the ability to just play defensive tackle, in a 4-3 as well. But I'm just thinking about, the way that the Giants are, currently right now. But Michael Hall from Ohio State, another guy you could probably get, in the 3rd round. D-line, to me, it's almost, because what we have right now is, I believe, is good. But if some of these names just fall and they happen to be there early, like if you're sitting there with your second round pick and Ruke Orhoro is there, I mean, I'm taking a long hard look, pause at Ruke. And he's probably the only one I would take that early, because again, Jer'Zhan Newton, he's going to go too high. The Giants are not taking the defensive lineman in the 1st round. It's not going to happen. Or early in the 2nd round either. In my opinion, that's something that won't happen. But to me, Michael Hall is another, late day 2, early day 3 pick that can also be in that rotation. And then the last guy, if you're talking about late in the draft, round 6, round 7, guy from LSU, and that's Jordan Jefferson, sneaky athletic, good size, over 300 pounds, and can move pretty well, built pretty well as well. Yeah. It's a couple of guys, and again, the trend that's been in these videos for so long is that we have to build through the draft, especially when you don't have the money to sign big free agents or big money free agents. You have to build through the draft. You have to draft well, and you got to hit. You got to hit on these picks, and these guys got to develop into players in order for the New York Giants to move this team in the right direction, keeping the cap healthy and keeping that homegrown talent. So that's going to be the video. I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.